So why did the account get suspended? It looks like the real reason is probably because of an attack of reports. It looks like X has an automated system to detect whether or not an account should be suspended, and it really just comes down to, are there a lot of reports that happen in a short period of time? And during the campaign, I do believe that NYLA was targeted. In addition to many other projects, but this is really a systemic thing that has happened here, where NYLA was reported for spam. What we have done in response to this is we went ahead and filed our own appeal. We filed an appeal in two different ways, actually. We have reached out to people at X. We have some friends reaching out to people. But the reality of the situation is there's just a queue. X is a massive platform. There are millions and millions of accounts, and there are an extraordinary number of suspended accounts. So NYLA is the center of our X, like many other suspended projects are the center of other people's X's. So I do believe that at the moment, the best course of action for us to take is to continue being patient. And the reason is because we want to stay in good terms with X. Like, we maintain that we have not done anything wrong. Our exact response to the spam warning is that because Nyla only responds to other users, Nyla herself cannot be spamming users. She's not going out and commenting by herself on things and tagging people and promoting things. She is only taking the information that people give her. She reiterates that information back to them as a response to their request. So we don't believe that this falls under spam. And I do think that as soon as a human reviews the case, as soon as it's our turn in line to be reviewed, I think that X will feel the same way. I do want to make people feel assured that in the case that that doesn't happen, which I find unlikely, but in the case that it doesn't happen, we do have a backup plan, and we will make sure that Nyla gets up and running. But it is our top priority to have the original account that has all the history and everything that we've done year to date on it be the active account. So we want to remain compliant with X. They have informed us that making new accounts and rebranding, etc., will most likely lead to a permanent ban on the original account because they want the opportunity themselves to review the situation and let us know what happens. So for us, a week or two feels like an eternity, but X has been around for years, so it's not an eternity to them, right? They have a long list of people that need to get through, and we're just in that list. So for the time being, I think that we continue as we are, but I don't want anyone to feel that we don't have a plan of action to take in the event that this doesn't get resolved quickly. So initially when this happened, I mentally made a note to myself that this could be about 30 days because this is what I've seen for other accounts. So anything up to 30 days I consider not, I mean, I'm not going to call it reasonable, but reasonable considering the comparable things that have happened with other accounts in the past. So that's about the timeline that I'm looking at. And if we don't get a resolution within that timeline, we will enact our own backup plan. So rest assured that that's what's going on. In the time being, we have kind of fast tracked this Instagram and Meta integration, which we always wanted to do. And this kind of just gave us the window of opportunity to make it happen. So I will get into that next. But the second topic is the campaigns, because I do think that the campaigns actually led to the suspension, but that probably happened because of just how many times Nyla was getting pinged, right? We went from kind of having a few hundred requests a day to thousands of requests in 8 hour blocks. So for us, the campaign was a huge success because it showed that Nyla is going to work at scale. In V2, it's a little silent for most people, but the way that V2 is designed is that no matter how big Nyla gets, Nyla could go to millions of users, and the same code for V2 is going to work as it does now for the 17,000 users that we do have. So we were elated about that. And I think that a lot of people took note. I got a lot of messages saying that they couldn't believe the speed and the fact that you could handle so many things at once. So that was great. And when I say the campaigns, I'm referring to the bonk campaigns primarily, where we started with the BVB campaign, and then we went on to the Let's Get Bonk to 1 million holders campaign. And we saw a lot of really beautiful things happen. Number one is that we saw people who had never heard of NYLA before engaging with the send, and it's because they don't really understand what they're seeing, right? And then when it clicked, we gained a lot of new community members. We've even gained new whales in the last, I think, 2 weeks. That like these are people that we have not interacted with before, and it's been a pleasure to get to know them. So the campaigns really did drive attention, and I do think to a degree that is a reason that Nyla was targeted, because when you see something start to move fast, it makes sense to to try to slow it down. So I do think that that happened to us, but we have a lot more campaigns planned. The Algorand campaign, which is specifically part of their Algo Land campaign, is scheduled for November. I don't believe that we're going to have any issues with that, considering the timeline. And this is what Nyla was designed for. It's a retail onboarding campaign. We want to bring new people into Web3. We want to make sure that they have a soft landing, they understand what they're doing here, and that they feel safe. And I think that Nyla is built to do exactly this. So I anticipate that going very well in November. We are in communication with the team, and we will make sure that everything that needs to be done does get done. So we're looking forward to that, and as we move into Instagram, that's going to open different campaign windows, right? So there's a few. I'm going to just like use this opportunity to segue into the Meta integration. So what we've done is we set up the kind of base repository. We set up the all of the kind of legal documents, all the accounts and everything, and now we are just translating the X specific parts of Nyla into meta specific parts. And just so everyone is clear on this, we do have an estimated timeline of 2 weeks to go live to the first transaction. But the good news is that once the first transaction goes live, it will work exactly the same as X. There won't be any additional development time because the rest of it is going to translate over immediately. So that's great. As soon as we get the first transaction on Meta to go live, you'll be able to do everything that you could do on X there right away. A few interesting points about Meta. I don't know if the audience here is Instagram native. I'm guessing they are because almost the entire world uses Instagram. But there's two key things that I think are going to play really well for Nyla there. The first is that the way an Instagram account is designed is for content, and you can see the content in tiles. So I think that the way that we can tell stories, especially with the work that Noir is doing to make the manga, we're going to be able to make it like a canvas. So on X you can't exactly do that because every post interrupts the prior post, but on Instagram it really does have this creative feel to it where we can build the brand as strong as it is, right? We already have thousands and thousands of images of Nyla. Now it's just about curating this picture so that any newcomer comes and gets excited about the IP. Because I do think that the IP itself is a huge attractive point, especially to people that aren't really familiar with crypto. They just fall in love with this brand image, and that makes them want to get to know more. And then the second thing was actually brought up by someone else on X today by control-alt-defy.algo. And it was exactly what I was thinking. So I commented back saying that it was spot on. But that's the point, is that there's not a lot of ways for creators to earn on Instagram, especially when you're a smaller account. So I do think that Nile is going to come in right at a time where people understand that they can really earn on this platform, that where previously the big benefit to them was that they get kind of dopamine from followers, and they get experience, they get to understand how to do some kind of low level marketing. But Nyla really presents the opportunity for people to monetize even if they don't have massive follower accounts. It's just about, are they providing content that people find valuable? And I think that if for you that the Instagram crowd is really going to take to this, because this is going to be completely new. But we'll see. The first post that we did definitely looked great. It had over 100 likes. It had engagement from almost every follower. And considering that I started the X account at 0 followers and just kind of tested it myself. And I made a bunch of posts and was trying things out. The X account stayed at 0 followers for a long time. Like it wasn't until the launch that we saw this propulsion forward. So the Instagram already has a big head start on that. So I do think that give it a month and it's going to be a very powerful account, and I'm looking forward to see how that goes. So we are 2 weeks away. I just confirmed with Chief this morning. That's where we're at, and it came at a good time, right? So we get suspended on one platform. We're going to get that platform back. We start building the next platform. It's all just a part of the process. And when we're trying to do something as big as becoming the Venmo of Web3, right? That means we need to be everywhere. We need to have more chain integrations, and all these things take time. And what we've done in the first couple chapters of NYLA here is prove that it works and prove that people want this. So now it's just about scaling and protecting the accounts once they're active. So that's our primary focus. We want to move on to more social channels. We want to incorporate more chains. We want to make sure that the accounts are safe. And we want to make sure that people are having fun, because the Bonk campaign was a lot of fun. We want to make sure that there's more fun like that. There's more use cases for NYLA. I know that lately people have been asking, can we do this? Can we do that? We can, and we will add a lot more functionality. But really, what we want to see right now is more people. So we're going to tap into a completely untapped market here, and see if we can see some new faces, which I am almost 100% sure that we will, just based on the non-follower interactions with the kind of test post that we made. So um, those were like the key areas I wanted to start with. I'm gonna pass this off to Navi or Barry just so I can review my notes, and then we're gonna keep going.
Sure, I can jump in. I think, first of all, really nice updates, Shax. I think for me, this whole experience, it's been very clarifying in a lot of ways, because like seeing, I guess what you'd fairly call from some people as like concerns when they reach out, like, what about this? What about that? Like obviously the suspension was something that we wish didn't happen, but it really does give us a chance to look at the bigger picture. And like for me, there's really there's two main things about NYLA that make me so excited about the future, which is, well, number one, the artwork and IP. Like this is not something that's easy to replicate. You know, other teams might come out and try to produce similar technology, and actually I think that that's expected. That's how technology products work. Like you look at many social networks, there's a lot of comparable functionality, and that doesn't mean that there can't be many winners. But I think on the brand specific point, that's clearly a place where I think we are the number one project in the space. So that's amazing. Number two, nothing has changed with our team, right? Like we've got the developers, we've got the marketers, and here and we're still pushing. And so really where I'm bringing this home to is that yes, X is a very important platform and we're going to get it back. But for me, the thing that I'm really looking forward to is us taking this core technology and like creating what I'm referring to as a core experience. And that's going to take place like through an enhanced web experience, which means that everybody's going to be able to use NYLA regardless of any other social networks. So there will be more social networks, there will be more chains, but with this home base experience, we'll basically have 100% uptime for the core services. And I think that's important. And I think that's how like many of the most successful applications in crypto, that's how they are positioned. Like the fact that we're sort of like an X first platform historically is somewhat unique to us. But for the most part, you know, you think about every app you use in crypto, you're really not using it on Twitter or other social networks. You're using them on their core websites. So Yeah, again,
Navi,
this whole
thank you
experience.
for jumping in on that. I just want to make that tangible for people. Like, we are able to add a transfer function to the website where you could send to someone's X account, to their Instagram account, and this would operate completely agnostically to whether or not there was an X account or an Instagram account, right? So we can add NYLA functionality to the website. I do think that we're in the process of scaling and user familiarity, and like it's really good to stay on the social platforms for a vast majority of the activity as you're growing. But like there comes a point where this will become kind of second nature. Like people use NYLA to do things, and the suspension actually revealed a lot of these people to me, people I had never met before, that messaged me saying, "Hey, I've been using NYLA every day. What happened? I can't use it." And this was a very empowering moment where people that like they're not super interested in kind of the market as a whole, but NYLA was a useful tool in their arsenal of tools that they use every day, and that was a very reassuring moment.
Yeah, I mean that's
I
right there. Like as I consider myself like a product builder. I know everybody thinks of me kind of as like a marketing first guy, but actually I would consider myself a product guy. And making products that people actually love to use is so freaking difficult. So yeah, just like you said, like knowing that we have product market fit is so massive. So like that is the thing that people should be concerned about. And the suspension has only highlighted that it actually is the case. Like we're not just sort of, self-promoting here. People actually do really love this technology.
Yeah, people like to use Nyla. I mean, it's really easy. And I got a question, I think around a week ago, somebody messaged me and they said, Shax, we saw the price fall, we saw the suspension. Like, do you believe in Nyla still? And I had a really funny answer because I've been onboarding people to Web3 since 2017. And like since the suspension, it takes time. Like when I meet people who are non-crypto native and I want to onboard them, the first thing I do is I give them an explanation. This is Solana, this is Algorand, this is kind of the brief history. This is an economic synopsis. But if you want to get started, download Jupiter, download Coinbase, verify your ID, do this, do that. And the process takes about 45 minutes, I think. I think I have it kind of optimized to that. For someone I've never met before, it takes about 45 minutes to get them to make their first transaction on their own. With Nyla, it really is 3 seconds, right? And like the second they see a $5 USDC transfer or something, they're like, okay, this is cool. How do I do more of this? And the most interesting case that I saw recently was I met this Bulgarian economist, and I wrote a tweet about this because I was really surprised by just his reaction. And what he found amazing is that he sends money to his mother, kind of monthly, and they're always worried about how do we send the wire, what are the fees going to be, and like these are things that crypto people take for granted. Like we just send USDC to any wallet whenever we want. We don't even think about it. But for people that are not crypto native, like these cross border payments are still a big issue. And he viewed Nyla as a way to start using this without actually having to learn anything. So when he thinks about his 70-year-old mother that is definitely not going to become Web3 fluent, but she could become a Web3 user just so she can interact with her son. And there are millions and millions of people like this all around the world. And I thought it was just such an interesting moment where this light bulb went off for this guy who's a career economist. I think he's 60 years. So he must be 50 something years old, right? And just seeing the light bulb go off, and I really saw that Nyla makes things so easy, which was the original thought, but seeing it in front of you just really has a different impact. So, yes, like to answer that person's question, of course I believe in Nyla, and this is what I told them, and for that reason, that we take a lot of things for granted, being kind of CT present every day, which is like we have a very low attention span, and like things that are kind of technologically remarkable, like we tend to take them for granted on X because of how much of it we see. I saw Mert make a post recently, which was really good, where he said, Solana is like the API to capitalism. And like I get that it's a joke post, but it's actually true, right? Like this internet capital markets thing that we're all promoting in 2025, like this is real. Like people have the opportunity on chain to do things that have never been accessible to humankind ever, right? Like being a liquidity provider to a new market and earning fees. Like this is not something that anyone outside of big institutional organizations have ever been able to do. So it's really incredible, and I think that NYLA being the interface that lets people into this world without any thought process, without any concern about security, without any concern about anything really, I think that that's a remarkable thing, and it's the way that it can scale when it taps the right audience, and the right audience is the curious people that don't see this stuff every day. I think it's going to spread like wildfire. And I wrote another tweet where I said I think Instagram is where this might start to take off, and then X will kind of piggyback, or other way around. X will take off again when the suspension is released, and then Instagram will piggyback. But one way or another, the market for this is massive. And as Navi said, the product to market fit is correct. So it's just a matter now of getting it in front of as many people as possible and making sure that it works well, it works quickly, and it's consistently up. So these are the things that we're working on as a team. I think that the past 6 months we have come a very long way, and we understand this problem in depth, and we're ready for the next challenges. So if anyone wants to come up and ask a question, this would be a great time. I do have some more things to go over, but I think that this would probably be good. Barry's here. Barry, how are you doing?
Hey, how we doing, everybody? I'm just listening along, but what I do want to add is that we're doing everything possible. We get tons of DMs, and most of them are hopeful and helpful, which we love to see. And we're doing everything we can to get this suspension lifted. And as far as we know, we got banned, about a week and a half ago, 10 days ago. We haven't heard anything from X. We have kind of vague reasoning for why. So we're not even 100% sure what we could have done differently, or, why we got, suspended in the first place. So we're working on getting a response from them. We've submit multiple tickets. We're reaching out to X employees, both on X and on LinkedIn, and kind of wherever we can get a real human response now. And hopefully, and when we do get a response, we'll try to keep the community informed. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, tagging ex-employees, doing the grok responses and everything, just trying to get some kind of visibility to the problem we have. So thank you to everybody in the community, and we are going to get this lifted. And for now, we can kind of turn our heads to Instagram to have a backup. And like Navi said, we can create the web dashboard to be very similar to how X runs as a backup, or as an alternative to people that maybe don't want to use X for NYLA's functionality. And kind of one more thing I wanted to add that I don't think Shax mentioned was, um, when we go to Instagram or Meta or any other social apps, your NYLA wallet that you now control on X or Telegram, it'll be the exact same wallet there. So there's no friction for moving over. It's exactly the same. All you would need is an Instagram account that you will link exactly the same way that you link to your X and Telegram accounts. So no worries on that. We're trying to make this product as cohesive as possible across all chains and all social platforms. And that really is the beauty of Nyla, and how quick she is at responding and how seamless it is to get set up. And that's kind of where our product separates itself from other similar products on the market. And we're going to keep pushing those points to get Nyla through. So just want to say that and add that. And I'm listening along here, and I think Shax has a couple more points, but I appreciate everybody showing up. um we're trying to just stay positive and kind of get this sorted and keep moving forward.
Thank you, Barry, for weighing in. And I do have a couple more things. One of them is sort of a surprise. So Nyla, the way people have used her kind of to date is send Sol, send USDC, send memes, swap tokens. And one of the things that we've, demonstrated is that when you use Nyla efficiently, you get massive mind share on things kind of quickly, right? Like I had the one post with almost 7,000 comments, and it allows you to get in front of a lot of eyes, something which they would have probably never seen before. And we have been in communication with various groups for months now, And the topic has always been NYLA belongs in the real world. And that means a lot of things. Like it can mean NYLA belongs in physical locations but it can also mean that NYLA belongs with other products. And in crypto has a lot of products that kind of extend beyond the scope of memes. And I think that since 2021, people have been trying to perfect these systems. Core one is RWA, right? Like these are like this has never really been done at scale, and I think that that time is coming. And we have been in contact with institutions based in London that do believe that NYLA can be used effectively at both sending these assets, but also just increasing awareness of them much more rapidly than before. So, I mean, when we think about RWA and Web3, right? There's a very small percentage of the world that uses crypto. There's an even smaller percentage of the world that uses DeFi. And then when you get into niche topics in DeFi, there's a very small population that uses them. So being able to leverage a brand and product that increases mindshare rapidly caught the attention of people that I think can really make a big impact for NYLA. So I can't give you exact details around this, but I can tell you that there have been serious conversations about how this will be used at scale. And I think that there's a lot of really good things coming. So I would just stay tuned on that. Definitely reach out to me directly. I get a lot of messages every day, so I don't always get to all of them, but definitely reach out if that's something that you find interesting, and I can give you some more insights to it. But it's a serious thing. The groups that we're talking with are kind of they're not exactly crypto native, but they are a lot larger than you would expect to be interested in this kind of space, and it's because the market that they're trying to capture is enormous like at scale. So if it does work out, which all signs point to it being a positive and that it will work, just based on the technology working, based on the user interactions that we see, and a lot of that is a massive thanks to all of you just for how much you use NYLA, how much you have supported us in the ups and the downs and everything. It really opened a lot of people's eyes, and it showed them that this is a way to capture attention, especially capturing the attention of a non-native audience that doesn't know about your product. And uh, and I'm looking forward to see how this does play out at scale. So, like I said, just reach out and I will be happy to answer questions. And this is gonna heat up quick. So stay tuned. Make sure that you're following on X. Make sure you're following on Instagram because I do think over the next month or two we're gonna see things really start to move faster and more decisively. One of the things about Instagram specifically, also that I forgot to mention before, is that there's a lot less cartoons on Instagram and there's a lot more people. And when people support things as themselves, you get really authentic support, but you also get kind of more scaled support. Like when you're your own person and people know this is your Instagram, this is your LinkedIn, you're a working professional, and you find something that you like and you start talking about it, like you get serious people involved pretty fast. Um, I mean, I noticed that just like in my own, like in the early days of NYLA, I shared around on Instagram, and I had friends that I had known for a long time that kind of work in tech, and NYLA was a no-brainer buy for them at that time. And it's because there's this real world sense to when we're not all cartoons. So I think that that's going to play out really well. I mean, the only thing we can do now is wait and see, but I'm extremely optimistic about that. Navi, anything you want to add before we take questions?
Not right now. No, just excited about the future.
Awesome, thank you guys. Do we have any questions or people that want to come up? If not, we're going to close it out. And we will try to get back on a more regular schedule for this. We were super busy with the campaigns, and a lot of it was just preparation for the campaigns. They kind of threw off our spaces schedule, but we're gonna get back to a more routine kind of check-in with everyone. If I don't think we'll do weekly, but bi-weekly is a good target for us. So that gives us enough time to give you meaningful updates. So any questions, definitely reach out and raise your hand, and I will bring you up here. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of emojis, but no questions. So I assume that everyone is up to date. Thank you very much for coming out tonight, and we look forward to the next one. Talk to you all soon.